Welcome all to today's session on Dockers. So today we will cover Docker, what is its architecture, what are its components, installation, basic commands, and we will see how we can create a sample Docker file and what are the different components or commands in the Docker file. Then we will see what are the different types of Docker repository in terms of public and private, and then we will also cover Docker Compose. What is a Docker Compose? And we will create some sample applications using both Docker and Docker Compose to understand how it actually works and what are the different steps involved in it. Okay. So first, let's talk about what is a Docker and how it is different from others. So let me just, okay. So if we just go back to the earlier time when we used to have a bare metal hardwares, like on the top of that we used to install operating system, and that is how things used to work. So in earlier session also we have seen how virtualization and how the bare metal approach with dedicated OS used to work. Then after the virtualization, on a single piece of a hardware you could run a multiple operating system, multiple guest operating system using a hypervisor. So then with the transition, new thing has come, which is a container. So container is nothing but it is a software which is used to virtualize, basically which is used for virtualization in order to have a multiple operating system running on a same host. So how it is different from traditional virtualization is in virtualization, or like when we used to run a multiple virtual machines on a particular infrastructure or particular hardware, we used to have a whole complete operating system, like in this example. For example, if we have to run an application A, we used to have we need to have basically a guest operating system, and similarly if we need to run a 3 virtual machines, in that we need to have a 3 operating systems, and these 3 operating systems will basically eat up your resources because these are full-fledged operating systems. Okay, and this basically also increases your resources, decreases your compute capacity, because operating system also needs space and memory to run. Then there comes a concept of a Docker, where we have a Docker engine which is running on a top of a host operating system. But here instead of running a complete guest operating system, Docker basically provides you APIs, if you, for example, if your application needs to call some operating system API, correct? For example, file read write or network read write. In that case, Docker engine itself provides those APIs, or basically it provides the abstraction on the top of one of host, so that application assumes that no, I'm writing to a file, but actually Docker abstracts those complexity and actually writes to the operating systems file, or file using the operating systems APIs. So these are lightweight containers, or lightweight virtualization with compared to normal virtualization, because we don't have the heavyweight operating systems here. It's just libraries and binaries which are operating system specific. So similar to virtualization, here also we can run multiple of flavors of the operating system. For example, you can have a container with a for example Red Hat flavor, and similarly container B can run a CentOS flavor, or container C can run Ubuntu flavor of a Linux. So Coming back to the definition, so Docker is a computer software used for virtualization in order to have a multiple operating systems running on a same host. So unlike hypervisor, which were used for creating the virtual machines, virtualization in Docker is performed on a system level, so called Docker containers. Okay, so here if you see the difference, so in this approach, the efficiency is increased. Okay, we can run more containers on a same infrastructure than the virtual machines, because that heavyweight operating system is now gone, or basically it is what you can say, it is abstracted by the Docker layer itself. Okay, so I hope definition wise Docker is clear, and how does it differ from uh, traditional system, or what you can say virtualization or virtual machines. Okay, so this is a high level Docker architecture where we have a three level of three or even four or five different components. So first component is a client. Basically it is nothing but it's a program which talks to the Docker daemon. Okay, and client is just nothing but it does operations like Docker run, pull, build, those kind of a things. Then you have a Docker host where actually the main things, or actual actual work happens. So here we have a Docker daemon which basically does the building, running and distributing the Docker containers. Okay, so normally in our examples also, but Docker client and Docker daemon will run on a same machine. So then you have a containers. Okay, and then you have a Docker images. So I will just show you how does it work. And then you have a Docker registry. So Docker registry can be of two types. One can be public, like GitHub, for example, Docker Hub. So it has already predefined or pre-built Docker images. So during runtime, client will pull these Docker images from registry, and these will be cached on the host, the Docker host machine, and then your containers will be spinned up using these Docker images. So this is how things work. And Docker client and daemon communicates using the REST APIs. So this is how it looks like. Okay, then definition wise Docker components, if we talk, so Docker engine is the basically, if we just go back, if we see here, so this blue line is generally called a Docker engine. Okay, so Docker engine is a basically, normally it's a Docker, it's a client server architecture where you have a clients and Docker daemon, which is called Docker D, is the Docker engine. So if you just do a PS, then you will find a Docker D running in your system. So that is a Docker engine which you can say is a server part. So Docker daemon and clients can run on a same machine, or they can run on a different machines also. So you have a command line interface for Docker client, and it communicates to the Docker daemon or Docker engine using the REST APIs. Okay. Then Docker images. Docker image is nothing but what you can say, it's a template for your not sorry template, but it's basically okay. So let's assume it like in earlier ways, like when you have to spin up a virtual machine, you need a ISO image. So ISO image contains all required operating system, as well as if you have a custom ISO image, it sometimes also contains some of the softwares also. Okay, so this is the how virtual machines used to work. So if we take it to the next level, so in Docker you can say Docker images as a stripped down version of your ISO image, which you can run on a Docker engine. Okay, so Docker images are the source code for our containers. Okay, we use them to build containers. They have a software pre-installed which speeds up the deployment. So these are portable. You can carry it and uh, run it anywhere wherever you have a Docker engine present. Okay, so you can use existing Docker images or you can build your own. So let me just show you how does it look like. So we have a Docker hub. Sorry, this is the Docker hub. So it is basically a repository where you will find all the standard or custom Docker images. So this is a public Docker repository. So for example, if I have to search it, so for example, if I want a Docker image for a Jenkins, so that if I just create a container, it will contain the Jenkins by default. So there are these Docker images which are already present. Okay, so there are certain publisher verified images and there are certain official images. For example, this is a official image, Docker image from the Jenkins, and these all others are the what you can say custom Docker images, or other people, they have just pulled the original one, modified, added new functionalities and pushed these Docker images back to the public repository. Okay, so this is how you can find it. Okay, so there are categories also if you want to search for a particular Docker image. For example, DevOps, currently only the Jenkins is there. For example, monitoring if you want. So there is no, but still you have a proper place where you can search for the Docker images if you don't want to create your own. Okay. So any questions till now? Okay, fine. So Docker registry, as we have already seen, so Docker store all the images which you want to publish or we want to share with others or even ourselves. So there are two types of registries. One is a public registry, which we just saw is a Docker hub. Okay, there you can store these images privately as well as you can make these Docker images public also. Then you can also create your own private registry. It's like a case where you have a big organization and the organization doesn't want to publish out or put their Docker images which contains proprietary code or proprietary things on a public cloud. So in that case, you can set up your own private repository and push and pull Docker images right from there. Then last topic or component is the Docker container. So containers are basically the smallest unit of your Dockers. So when we build an image and start or basically run it, it spins up a container. So container, probably why it was named container, probably because these are portable. These can be you can just take a Docker image from one place to another and just run it, and the way it would behave would be similar all the places. Okay, so that's why probably it was named as a container, but it is a piece of a software which basically can give you a particular execution environment for your application. So generally we can move it, we can ship it, ship the software, modify, manage, create, destroy, just as a cargo container. So that's why probably there is a resemblance between the terminologies with a real container and Docker container. Okay. Then there is one more terminology which is not mentioned here, is the Docker file. So Docker file is nothing but a template, or it's like script, not exactly script, but it is text based file where you specify how your container would be, or your Docker images would be created, what your Docker images or containers would contain. So we will come to that particular topic. So for installation is very simple. If you are on a Ubuntu, you can just run a apt get docker.io and it will install it. So these are the links where you can just go and look out how to install a Docker engine. But Docker engine is very straightforward. It's single line command in most of the Linux as well as Windows platform. Okay, then we will come to these basic commands little later. So before that, let's see what is the basics, like how you have, if you have to create a Docker container, how it would be. The first step would be to have a Docker file. Okay, so Docker file gives you a ability to write what your Docker images or Docker containers would contain. So Docker file is nothing but it's a simple text file with instruction how to build your images. So first is like, this is the sample. So first one is the keyword is from, for example Ubuntu. So this particular statements tells that what is the your base image. So here we are taking the Ubuntu's latest base image. Okay, so if you want to go with a Red Hat, you can take a Red Hat. If you want to create something on the top of existing official Jenkins Docker image, you can here write from Jenkins. Okay, then there is a maintainer keyword which tells like who is the author, or who will be maintaining this Docker image file. Then so if you see here, next is the run. So run is basically keyword which tells like the statement after this would be executed inside the container. So if we see, first it would pull Ubuntu image from the Docker repository. Then it would run apt get update, then it would run apt get install nginx, and at the end it will add it will execute the echo command. Okay,
So where do we mention the version number of this Ubuntu?
so you can mention it.
Am I audible?
At the end. Yes, I can hear you. So if you want to mention with the at the end with colon, you can also mention the version of the Ubuntu.
And just one question I had, because I missed the first few minutes of this thing. So I had this question that is this creating this Docker similar to what we do in Terraform, like where we do provisioning of servers? Because here also we are here we are not creating a server. We are not starting up a server. Is that so?
Correct. So okay, probably just missed it. So let me just give you one more insight. So how this normal like for example in AWS cloud we are creating a EC2 instance. So EC2 instance are nothing but virtual machines. Correct. So these are the like for example, let's assume
Yes.
infrastructure, and on the top of that hypervisor, and then you create the virtual machines. But here in Docker you already have a operating system. Okay, so it can be a virtual or it can be actual. On the top of that we are running a Docker engine or Docker, and on the top of that we create a containers. So containers run inside a host. They don't need a separate virtual machines. Like if you already have a virtual machine, inside that you can run multiple containers. Okay, does it answer the question?
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks for that brief. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so this is how a Docker file looks like. Okay, then what we do, okay, let me, meanwhile I will just show you one sample. Just refresh it. Okay, so I already have a sample, okay, created. So if you see it here, I think it should be visible. Let me just increase the size. Zoom. Okay, so this is okay, let me just, is text clearly visible or?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, so I'm now sharing my browser, and here if you see there is a one sample Docker file. So here what is it doing? It is pulling the image from your registry. It is basically pulling the Ubuntu Docker image. Okay, then on the top of that it is updating your all the software packages. Then it is creating a short link for your zone and other time zones, and then it is installing a Apache 2, and after that it is installing the other Apache 2 utils packages, and at the end it is just cleaning up all the leftover from the upgrade, and then it is exposing a port 80. So container, when we say is container is nothing but a software running inside a what we can see in a isolated environment with its own library and binaries. So if you want to access anything or any software running inside a container, you have to expose out a particular port, until unless you won't be able to access anything running inside it. Okay, so since this is a HTTP server running inside, so we have to expose out the port on which this particular server would be listening in. So Apache server listens on port 80, so we have exposed out this port 80, and then we are giving a command. So command means like whenever this container starts up, so if you want to give some command, for example, to start this Apache server in a foreground, so here we can write it. So if it was like, you know, Tomcat, for example, in that case we would have done a Catalina start, for example, or if we had a script inside a container, then we would have started that particular script. So command or endpoint, so these two keywords basically we can use to start something whenever a container starts up. Okay, so okay, so this is the one, and after that what we can do, we can just build a Docker image using this Docker file. So syntax for that is docker build -t and then the name of your uh, Docker image which you want to create. If you want, you can give a tag name also, and or tag version, and then where your Docker file is. So in this case, example, for example, if I run it, so it would be docker build -t. -t is basically the tag or name for your Docker image. So let's say Apache server version 1. Okay, and then you have to provide the path of your Docker file. Since Docker file is in this particular folder, so I can just provide a dot. Okay, so if you see it here, okay, sorry, my mistake. I need to run it with the sudo. So if I run it with sudo, then if you see it here, so it is since I have already run it once, so what it does, so it started the Docker, basically started sending this file to Docker daemon, and then it downloaded this Ubuntu from the central repository. Okay, and then created a temporary container, and inside that container it executed get update. Okay, and then again in that container it executes other commands which we gave, and then expose this port 80, and also this particular command is also added, and at the end that container is basically shut down and a Docker image is created. Okay, so Docker image is nothing but it is a text file which contains all the commands to or instructions to create that container on the go. But when we build it, so during building time it also creates intermediate containers and executes those commands. So it's basically incremental process. So if you see it here, these numbers which are there, so these are nothing but these are container IDs. So for each and every step it contains a new container, and after that it stops that container, generates a new Docker image, and for next step again uses that Docker image to create a new container, executes the commands, and at the end it just gives us a Docker image. So if you see it here, now we have a Docker created, and this has been named as a Apache Server v1 latest, and this is the your Docker what you can say Docker image ID. So if I just show you Docker images, sorry, sudo Docker images. So we already have some of the Docker images, but this is a Docker image which we have just created now. So somehow this time is not correct, but this is what we have just created. Okay, so if we just match the build ID 351 and Docker name, so it is it will show, and then if you see it, the size is 214 MB. So this is a Docker image which is has been created and it is still in our machine. We have not yet pushed it to the central repository. Okay, so if we want to push it to central repository, so you can just write a Docker push and name of your Docker image, for example Apache Server v1. Okay, sorry, sudo okay. So but it will not happen because we are not yet logged into the this one, but this is how it will work. So if you are already logged into the Docker Hub, it will push this image to your repository. Okay, so now this is how we can build it. Okay, so this is what I told, like when this command is done, Docker image will be downloaded from the Docker Hub if it is not already downloaded. So since it was already downloaded, so it didn't download, so just use the local cached Docker images. Okay, okay, now if we just go back to this table, now you will understand what these commands are. Okay, so for example Docker info, so it will give the version and other information about your Docker engine. Okay, so Docker server, what is architecture, what are the number of CPU core and RAM and other things, it will give it. Okay, then Docker pull, if you want to pull particular image, for example Docker pull Red Hat. Okay, so it will download the latest files. So Docker Red Hat, I guess, is it CentOS? Okay, let's pull CentOS. Okay, so now it is pulling this CentOS from the central repository or Docker Hub on my machine. If I just see Docker images, so Docker images, now you see here we have a CentOS, and it was created 3 months back, and it is size is 209 MB. Okay, for running a particular Docker image, so you have a docker run command. Okay, docker run. Okay, so it is not there. Docker run -d in a background. Then okay, let's come back here. This is the build. Okay, this is how you run a particular command. Docker run -d in a background, -p. -p is like, you know, if you want to map a particular port on your host machine with the container port. Okay, so if I see -p, we had port 80 and port 80. Port 80, this 80 is the container port, and sorry, this one is the container port, and this one is the your port on your own host. For example, on your host machine, port 80 is already reserved, but your Apache runs on a port 80. So in that case, what you can say, you can use any custom port. Okay, and then your name of your Docker image, Apache server. Okay, that's all you have to give. And sudo. So if you see, the particular Docker container has been spinned up, and this number is your Docker container number. If I just show it, sudo docker ps, so it will tell you the running Docker images. Okay, so if I just show you, this is the one which we have just created. Okay, so this is the local 80 port of your Docker container, and now it is accessible on port 8888. For example, let's see the IP address of this machine and try to access it using. Okay, sorry, my mistake. I have not added this 8888 into the security group, so it will not be visible. Let me just update the security group so that we can access it here. Security group, edit, add a rule, add expose output 8888. Do it for everyone. That's all. Save the rule. Now let's see if we can access it. What happened? Let's see if it is still up. Yes, 888888. IP address is okay. No issues. Let's come back to it again, then probably we can see it. Okay, I got it. So basically, just wait. So I think the port mapping is not correct. So whatever the port we had used. Okay, so no issues. So meanwhile, we will see how we can stop a particular running container. So Docker stop, and then you can just give a container ID, which is this number 063. So here we can just give a few number also, just the initial numbers. So it will stop a particular running container. So generally it takes a little time to stop the container. Okay, now if we see it, Docker ps, if you see it here, now it is gone. It doesn't show it, Docker. Okay, so if you just run a Docker command, you will see the what are the different commands available. Okay, so let me just remove the existing server. So here sudo docker rm, and then the container ID you can give it, and then that particular container would also be removed. Just let's try to run that command again. So I think it is in this format. Okay, now let's try to connect it. See here, now you can access a Apache Tomcat. Apache Tomcat runs on a port 80, but we are able to access it using a 8888 port. Okay, so this is how you can run a container using a Docker file. Okay, so coming back to this PPT, so this is what we have already seen this particular example. So for building it, you can just use a docker build -d and the name of name of your container and the path of your file, and then using the docker run command you can create a container using this docker image. That's all. Okay. Okay, so any questions till now? Is this Docker concept, Docker file, Docker images, is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so now coming to the next part. Okay, so what will happen, like if we have to create for the example 10 or 12 Docker images, and some of the times what will happen, these Docker's containers, they are interlinked. For example, you are creating a software stack where you have a database server, you have a web server, and probably 2-3 other servers. So building those and running those Docker containers becomes very difficult if you have to do this Docker run command and other things. Okay, so then there is a other tool, which tool or software we can say, it's a Docker Compose. So Docker Compose is nothing but it is a what you can say, it's a tool which helps you to manage or run multiple containers from a single file. Okay, so it is similar to Docker. Basically it is built on the top of Docker itself, Docker file, but it helps you to run multiple containers all together. Okay, so we will see some of the examples. So similar to Docker, Docker Compose also has commands to manage the whole life cycle. So it has a start, stop, view the status of running services, stream the output of a Docker running, basically to how to see the logs of a Docker, and you can just using a single command everything will spin up. Okay, so before that one more thing which I wanted to show was how to see the logs of a particular Docker container. Okay, so if we see Docker log and probably just 75 D4. So here Docker logs. Okay, so these are the logs of your Docker container. So since there is nothing much in this one, so this is the way. Or if you want to go inside this particular Docker container, but Docker container is nothing but it's a kind of a you can say it is a, it's not true, but you can say it is a stripped down version of your virtual machine. It is not true, but let's assume like it is a stripped down version of a VM. So similar to VM, you can just log in and browse it. So also in this Docker container, you can also log in and browse what is inside and how the things are working. So for that you have a command sudo docker execute -it and the name of your Docker, Apache server v1, and then bash. Okay, Apache server what is the spelling? I think spelling mistake is there, but instead let's keep the Docker image name. So, ID 75D4. Okay, so now if you see, we are inside the this Apache server version 1 Docker container. If you see it here, you can just go and see the where HTML, whatever the files you can go and visualize how it would be inside it. So if you just go cd where cd logs, here you can just Apache or like these things you can do it, and you can just write a exit and you will be just outside the container back into your host machine. Okay, so now we were just discussing about the Docker Compose. So this is the sample Docker Compose. So Docker Compose basically uses a YML file. So it's it follows a YML formatting. Okay, so there are multiple sections. First is a version, then second is a service, then you have different services here, like for example we have a one web service and one database service. So web service, like it is basically Nginx server. So whenever this Docker Compose is executed, it will pull the image, Nginx image from your central repository for creating this web service. For dev, basically for database, it will pull image from your MySQL. Basically it will pull MySQL image from your central repository. Then it will map the ports, or basically it will be exposing out and mapping the ports on your host, correct? And there are certain environment variables which you can pass. So these variables or these environment variables will be passed to this database Docker image when it is being created, so that these MySQL is basically contains a username and password and a default database. Okay, so basically this is nothing but it is a configuration of your database for username, password and database name. Then okay, so this is a very simple Docker Compose. Okay, so these are the commands. Let me just go back, and here only we can see. Okay, Docker Compose. Okay, I already have some other example. Let's see it, cd WordPress example. Okay, so this is the we have a WordPress tool, okay, WordPress site, and one database. So here we have a database which we are using a MySQL and version 5.7. So this is like Alpna asked question, if you want to pull a particular version of a particular base image, so what is the command? So similar to this one,
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
know the version, we can specify the version and it will pull that particular version only. If you don't specify, then it will be by default latest, which is available on the Docker Hub. Okay, then there is also a concept of volumes. So normally what happens, like Dockers, they have a Emperor database or Emperor storage. So whatever is inside the container is created, when as soon as these containers are destroyed, they also get destroyed. Okay, so there is nothing persistent inside the container. But this can't be the case, correct? So you need to have some configurations or some outputs or logs, or maybe you want to pass it to from outside some configurations. So in that case, there is a concept of a volumes. So in volumes, what you can do, you can mount your local directory. For example, here on a host machine, you would have a db_data folder that would get mounted as a var lib MySQL inside the this particular container. So whatever is there on this where live MySQL would be available on a host machine and would get saved in db.data folder. Okay, I will just show you. Then we have a restart policy which tells like whenever this particular container hangs up or there is something problem with this container is restarted. So there are multiple restart policies. Then here we are passing the environment variables which would be used by database for creating a database and default username and password. Then we are creating a WordPress site service. So depends on basically tells like first this database should be created, only then this WordPress service would be created. So depends on helps you to schedule or basically order these service creation. So here we are using WordPress latest site. Here we are basically creating WordPress by default runs on a port 80, but we are mapping it to our host port 8000 because port 80 is already used. Then we are passing some environment variables. Okay, and here the volume is db data is basically a empty directory. So empty directory is basically your local path, and it is also not persistent. So here also, like if we change this path, then this would be created in a local path. So I will just come to that path, but for now whatever the path we are giving, this path would exist as long as this container is there. After that it would be just removed. So if we just see Docker Compose also has a similar commands ps, okay, which tells that Docker Compose what services are running. Okay, Docker logs build. Okay, let me see if it is already running. Okay, so now coming to this PPT, so there are certain commands which tells us like Docker Compose up means it will start executing this Docker Compose file, and -d is like it will run in a background. Okay, then Docker ps to check if your containers are running. So basically it is just a ps process state kind of a thing. And to shut down it, you can use a Docker Compose down. Okay, so now let's see Docker Compose up -d. Okay, sorry, it has to be with sudo. Okay, now if we see, so it is just trying to create a database that was successful, but this WordPress site it could not create because this port 8000 is already allocated. So let's see Docker why it is showing it is already allocated. For this we can use this Docker ps command. So if you see it here, this 8000 port is already has been allocated because this Docker press and other things they are already running. So let's destroy it. Docker stop and then just give the this container ID. Okay, d74. So this number is also sufficient. Okay, then we will remove it. Okay, and similarly you can also use direct rm. For example, MySQL, if you want to delete fp0, but it would say ki this container is already running, so you have to do it forcefully. Oh sorry, fp0 -f. Okay, so normally you won't be able to remove a particular running container. First you have to stop it or you have to forcefully stop it. Okay, now if we see the what are the running containers now, so we already have a one more SQL. Let's remove that one also. 9914 -f. Okay, Now if we see, we only have one Apache server running. Okay, now let's run this Docker Compose again. Sudo Docker Compose up -d. So if you see it here, now it is creating it. So it has created WordPress sample db1 one service and WordPress sample WordPress underscore one as a second service. If you see it here, PS, now you will see the WordPress site is up and database is also up. So these are available on port 8000 and database is available on 3306. Okay, so if I just open and use this port itself, okay, 8000. So if you see it here, now this WordPress site is up. Okay, so if you want to shut down it, so you have to just write a Docker Compose down. Okay, so it will shut down everything. So now if I just go and see the ps command, so there is nothing up. So let's run it again and do one more thing. Docker Compose up -d. Okay, Docker Compose, then you can type logs, then you will see all the logs for both the services. Here if you see, db1 is the first service and WordPress is the second service. Okay, so if you want to explore, you can just go through these sites, these options, and you can explore these. Okay, but majorly the commands which are used is up, down, and ps, or some of the cases it can be the logs. Okay, so similarly, like you can just go into each and every Docker container also. For that you have to get the Docker container ID, sudo docker ps. Okay, so here you can get this one ID. Here you can then write sudo docker execute exe -it. I is for interactive, T for TTY, and then the ID 75, for example D4. Okay, and then bash, and you are inside the this particular server. So basically it is Apache server. Okay, so let me just change this number to WordPress, for example 60. So this command would be useful if you want to search out something inside it. Okay, if you want to find the particular log, or you want to see how things are getting installed. Okay, so this is what a sample Docker Compose file looks like. Okay, so this is the example which we just saw. So instead of Apache server, I just showed you the example for WordPress site. Okay, so okay, meanwhile let me just show you some more examples. Okay, so I have one Jenkins Docker Compose file also. So here we are running just one service, we are not running multiple services, but I want to show you the volumes part here. Okay, so if I just remove this particular modified. Okay, so in earlier example what we did was like we were using the volumes, but those were the empty directory type of volume, which is also a Perl. Okay, but here if you see, we want to run a Jenkins. Okay, with the root user, and we want to expose out a port 8081. Let's remove this management port, and we want to name this container as a Jenkins, and then we also want to mount the Jenkins home folder in our host file. Okay, and then that's all. So let's run this one. Docker compose up -t. Okay, volume sections, there is, what is the it was like this earlier. Okay. What is missing here? Volumes, that's all, we should have it. Okay, probably that folder was not there, so that's why. So now what it is doing, so if you see it here, now it is pulling the Jenkins latest image from the Docker Hub. Okay, and it has downloaded. Now it is creating your Jenkins service. So if I just see docker, sudo docker compose ps. So if you see it here, now we have a Jenkins running on port 8081. So I hope I have enabled port 8081 in the security group. Okay, I guess security group we don't have 8081. Okay, let's add 8081 also. Okay, let's save this. Now let's try to access it. Why is it not opening? Now it is opening. Okay, so this is how your Jenkins server will come up. But if I just show you the main thing, which is like in home folder, if you see, okay, why is it not? Jenkins Docker sample, vi Docker file. Why this folder is not getting created? Let's create a folder here, then use Jenkins data. Okay, Jenkins data. You can modify this one with the. Okay, it has to be okay. So basically, it has to be like this. Jenkins data. Okay, Jenkins data. Name is correct. Okay. Let's bring it down. Okay, it has to be sudo. Okay, let's create it up -t. PC Jenkins. Now this everything is which is there inside the Jenkins, that is now mounted here. So if I so what is the advantage here is like, if I open it here, so Jenkins will now start getting up, but without the persistence, what would happen, like if we destroy this container and recreate, nothing would be persistent, like your existing jobs, your plugins, nothing you will be able to find. But now with this one, once we configure this Jenkins, all the configurations which are used by Jenkins, they are now stored in the host machine. So even if you delete this container, these files will remain there. So next time if you start this container, it will pick these configurations and it will start from there. So it will not start from this sketch. For example, let's see, let's try to find this file here. Okay, inside this, if you see where this file would be, what is the path? this one. So to get this path, like there are two ways. One is like since we already have access to the structure, we can just go inside it and find it. So it's called users, okay, sorry, secret key. So this is the secret key. This is the one way. Other way is docker log Jenkins. So we can use docker compose. Okay, in the log also we can find it. Okay, sudo docker compose logs. Okay, so if you see it here, this key is also available here. Let's use this key to log in once and let it install meanwhile. Or okay, so this is the one way. Other way was like you could have just gone inside this container and you could have figured out this key. For example, docker compose ps. Okay, so this is one docker. Let's get the container ID docker ps. Okay, so for example, this is the container ID. So what we could have done, sudo docker execute minus it ida4f and bash. So here also we could have gone inside the whatever the path it was giving, and then you could have copied that ID. Okay, so let's see it. So this would take some time. So like if I just stop it here, okay, so let's see, docker compose ps. Just give a second, maybe let it complete first, and then I will just show you what I mean. So what you can do now from the DevOps perspective, there are two things. One is to run your Jenkins in a container, correct, the way we are doing it. Another way is if somebody asks you to run a particular software or particular Docker container, then you can also use Jenkins. So Jenkins has a plugin which is a Docker plugin. So there you can also use that Docker plugin to run a particular Docker image. From DevOps perspective also, like some people might ask you to manage and maintain Docker files and Docker images in a private repository. So these are the major job responsibilities or roles which DevOps engineer normally get it. Okay, then there are other things also, like now the next step is a Kubernetes and those kind of things. So maybe if we get a time, so maybe I will can give you a kind of a theoretical introduction to Kubernetes, because for practical we need to have a Kubernetes cluster, which currently I don't have it. But if you want, I can give you a theoretical overview of the Kubernetes also.
Yes, that would be great. That would be great.
Okay, let's see if I have some material. Maybe if we can do it tomorrow, or maybe some other week. Okay, so I think let it. It will take time, but meanwhile, what we can do, let's shut it down and let's see how the persistence will look like. So here, if we see, everything is now which is there in the Jenkins data folder, it is all here. So if we start it here now, okay, so if you don't give -d, then it will run in the console itself, in the foreground. So this is how it would look like. Okay, by default, until unless that process completes, it is not going to work. let's see. Let's do one thing, just to show it. Don't skip. Okay, so see here now, it has already persisted the information, like these were the plugins which were installed, and now it is asking you to basically resume it. So if you see, it is not starting right from the scratch. It asks for that password because we have not yet created any account on this Jenkins machine. Okay, so I hope this gives a good picture how the volume persistence works. Okay. Okay, so what else? Let me just stop it. What else I have it? Okay, Nginx, it is very much similar. Okay, Docker file. So this is just a Docker file. So if you want, somebody asks you to run a Nginx, then it can be done in this way. Take the Ubuntu base image. If you are using Ubuntu, you can take a Ubuntu. If you want to use Red Hat, you can also Red Hat, or it can also be a CentOS. For example, it can be a CentOS. Okay, so then it will install the Nginx, and it would be just up and running. So this is how you can update and modify a particular sample if you get it from online, or if somebody gives you a Docker file and asks you to add some or more steps to it. Okay, so yep, so that's all I had for today. So any questions till now? Maybe if there are some questions, maybe we can take up those now. So I will share one hands-on activity. Let me share it now. Just a minute if I can find it. Okay. So I will just put it on a Slack channel also, but for now this is the, just to give you a way. So this is the assignment which we have created. So what you can do, there is a free template site. Okay, different templates are available. You can just download these templates. Okay, and customize it based upon your profile. So it's basically a your online profile or online resume. Okay, then you can create a project in a GitLab and download or upload it to the GitLab. Then you can create a Jenkins job. Okay, check out this code, create a Docker file with Apache server. Okay, check out this code, and using the Jenkins you can launch this on a EC2 instance. Okay, so first part is what you can do simplified way is, like, you just create a Docker file, and with Docker file you can just use this template. Okay, so in this case what will happen, like there would be one question, like okay, let me just go back to the console. Okay, so what we can also do for this in particular example. Okay, so if you have some template file, for example template HTML file, okay, you want to copy it somewhere, so how will you do it? So if it is okay, Apache is the example, let's take the example Apache example only. You have to create a Docker file, and this Docker file, if you have some sample code, so what you can do, you can write a copy. So this Docker file has to know the path where your code is there. For example, your that code is here only. Okay, web portal to where HTML, I think this is the name, www .html web portal. So if we write it like this one, so what will happen, this container or like Docker image will contain the your whatever the static pages or whatever your dynamic pages are inside the Docker images. So as soon as you create your Docker image, all these things would be there. Okay, so you can basically create your own site and put it into a container. So this is what you have to basically do as a part of this exercise. Okay, so I hope this exercise is clear and you will be able to do it. Otherwise we can take these questions, or like if you have any doubts we can ask on chat itself. Okay, so Aditya Yadav, she says like she doesn't have a Slack workspace. Okay, so maybe can you, Aditya, can you maybe send me a mail? I will send you the link for the Slack. Probably I don't have it. Let me see it if I have. Okay, so but let me stop recording.